my name is Tina, and today I will introduce you to my eclectic collection. Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today as I introduce my eclectic collection. So I will spend a little time going through and talking about some different categories of beachcombing finds that I've found really since about the summer of 2018. Got your beautiful patterned glass, a lot of this coming from maybe decorative dishware and lots of pretty colors. And then these pieces are glass float seals. So from this side on the left, those are coming from smaller floats. And then this here is from a larger float. And this is probably my favorite float piece or seal because it's got a beautiful color, perfectly frosted, and just in great condition. You have insulators from the bottoms of light bulbs, black sea glass, or sometimes called pirate glass, oftentimes in that dark olive green color. Bottle bottoms with embossing, this being one of my really nice finds, the Made in USA, in a nice blue color. Bottle tops. You have good boulder sea glass, one of my bigger pieces of green, as well as a nicely rounded bonfire piece. Over here, some varieties of stoppers. These two teal ones were found in Japan. These are probably my favorite. Perfectly frosted and just a real surprise when I spotted them. Some kick-ups or the bottoms of bottles. TV glass here. Also, these two kind of in the shape of hearts. Lots of colorful sea glass such as orange, yellows, pinks, reds. Of course, up here you could probably recognize that as Davenport glass. I was able to go to the beach when there was some gravel exposed and found these pieces that are pretty special to me. This one being my favorite just because of how it's got that beautiful yellowish orange striping and just so perfectly frosted. Lots of different types of marbles. This is my biggest shooter marble. Slag glass in kind of a galaxy blue pattern. Safety glass, and then these pieces you can kind of see the bubbling in it come from broken glass floats. So these were all found in the northern Japan area, and they do match kind of the various color glass floats that can be found. This side being some other multi sea glass I've found, but not from Davenport. Some beads, and then this is a recent find, a really great seal. I'm not sure what it's from exactly. I've seen some bottles that have kind of seal looking things like this. However, it looks pretty clear, clean, so it could be something else. This is my seashell collection. Most of these were found in Okinawa, Japan and mainland Japan. However, there are a few from Hawaii as well as California. So recently, I've received a lot of questions on Instagram about cleaning my shells, such as this one here. I have a few different tools, but mostly it's these four. We'll start off just with a simple toothbrush, cleaning off all the debris and dirt. And then with these finer tools, I'll scrape off any kind of calcium or other deposits that are on the exterior of the shell. And then finally, you can see this is a very well-worn metal scrub brush. I'll scrub it as much as I can until all of the remaining kind of white chalky layer is gone. So this is very time consuming, but I think it's worth the effort because sometimes it exposes and brings out the most beautiful colors on these shells. Also, to help me with identification, I found a great shell book from an antique shop in California, and this has been really great in identifying different types of shells, their names, such as the ring-top shell in California, its scientific name, how rare it is, the depth of water. So for those that enjoy collecting shells, of course, having a good shell identification book is really handy. In front of me is part of my Japanese glass fishing float collection. I have personally found these along beaches in northern Japan, as well as a few in Okinawa, Japan. So to start off with a brief description, you can see a lot of different sizes, anywhere from golf ball size, baseball, softball size, grapefruit size, to these larger floats. These are about 12 to 13 inch floats. They can reach up to about 18 or 19 inches, so they can get quite large. Looking at the different colors, so this is kind of the range of what I found, anywhere from a light pale blue to lots of aquas, teals, some greens, olive green, even a few darker brown floats. This would just depend on the type of kind of recycled glass that the float maker had available on that given day. Sometimes with the hand-blown floats such as this one, you can see some nice bubbling because every float is unique. And then sometimes you can see a maker's mark identifying who made it. Not all floats have this, but it is a great way of learning about the history of the float. Other floats can be found with the netting still on it. Oftentimes, the floats I'm finding on the beaches today, they have a synthetic netting on it, and some fishing operations still occasionally use. Most have transferred over to plastic floats. Depending on how long the float has been sitting on the beach or has been washed in the surf or waves, sometimes you'll see that there is kind of a dull sheen or even sandblasted look, such as this one. I found this in Okinawa, a beach that didn't get a lot of foot traffic, so my guess is this has been sitting in the sand, kind of getting sandblasted over a long period of time. Other times, for floats that have been out to sea for quite a while, barnacles will grow on the surface, such as this one. And this one's pretty unique because it's even distorted the netting around it a little bit. So I've chosen to just keep it in its form because it is pretty unique. And then another example, a smaller float with several little barnacles attached to the surface. Now, occasionally the float will be in a rigging such as this, where you've got kind of some metal pieces securing the float, as well as sometimes some other types of lures. Another example of that, you can have some plastic streamers such as this, and the wood used is often like a little bamboo looking sled. And then even found some that have kind of a metal meshing around it. Occasionally the float will have a plastic casing such as this, just to help prevent breakage, but then the top you can see inside there is still the glass, the regular glass float. Moving on to different types of floats, so you also have your cylindrical or roller pins such as this. This is pretty special to me because I found it in Okinawa as one of my first beachcombed finds, and I didn't even know what it was at the time. When I looked it up at home though, realized that this was quite rare. So this design is called a Hokkaido roller, and they also come in a variety of sizes. Would be a pretty standard size. A slightly different design. You can see it's a little bit more rounded at the edges. It's called a tohoku roller. In my experience, these have been a little bit rarer to pick up or find on the beach in comparison to these round floats. And then I'll briefly discuss these are clay weights, so these floats would help hold up nets, keep them floating, but then sometimes you would want part of the net to be a little bit weighted down to maximize the net coverage. So you will also occasionally see these attached to netting, and they can come in different sizes and colors. So as I've collected more of these fishing floats, I've wanted to learn more about them. So found a few great resources talking about people's experiences finding floats along the west coast of the United States as well as Japan. And there's even a few books out there that are great identification guides such as these. In addition to occasionally collecting driftwood, these are a few other wood items I have collected. So on the left side, this lid actually comes from a traditional Japanese cast iron rice pot called a kama pot. I did not know what it was initially when I found it, but I was eating at a Japanese restaurant one day and they brought out the kind of side dish of rice in the pot, and this was the lid. So I was happy to find its purpose. In the center here, this is called a kokeshi doll. So it comes from northern Japan, maybe starting about 150 years ago. And they were pretty simply made, no arms or legs, but just kind of the base of wood and then a head. So this one looks to be a mother carrying a child, which is kind of neat to think about who played with it. If there was a child, that this was their prized toy at some point, but pretty neat. And then this is a nicely put together made box with some interesting kanji stamps on it. I don't exactly know what it is, but my best guess is a decorative box to hold a small gift. These over here, these wood blocks, appear to be some kind of marker for a boat. So this kanji here, this last one, represents a circle, and typically Japanese boats will have the name of the boat with the maru or circle kanji following it. So I need to do a little bit more research on this. Hopefully I can figure that out in the future. This I found not too long ago on a local beach here in Japan. It's known as a Hyochan. Pretty cute. It's a little gourd character, and you're probably wondering what this actually is. So inside of this, they put soy sauce, and then when eating a bento box, you just pour the soy sauce on your food. I actually picked this up a few days ago from Tokyo Station. You go on a long train ride, you pick up your bento, maybe some sake, and enjoy a meal while riding the train. As you open up the bento, of course, it's got the outside packaging, inside packaging, and then you have shumai here. And then off to the side, little packet, little pick for if you don't have chopsticks, help eat some probably spicy mustard. And then here is the Hyochan. So inside, a little bit of soy sauce to pour over your meal while you're enjoying it on the train, and then you can have a nice little souvenir. All right, so this plate here represents a good variety of different stones, crystals, and even fossils that I have found along several different beaches, both on the west coast of the United States as well as here in Japan. So just from what you can see on this plate, several different types of fossils, including this is a fossilized lower plate of either parrotfish or puffer fish for helping digest food. Got some kind of volcanic type of rock, crystals, very uniquely shaped, and colorful rocks, agates. And then down here, lots of these smaller stones, such as these moonstones, these kind of opaque colored ones. Some bigger fossils, this being some nice little set of fossilized sand dollars, more hagstones, some rose quartz, and they're larger kind of scallop fossil. So sometimes you don't always find beaches with lots of sea glass, but it's almost just as fun to find a nice pebble beach that has these types of rocks, agates, and fossils. So these are some examples of several of the plastic toys that I've found on various beaches around Japan primarily. And you can see lots of maybe some familiar characters, little figurines. So a little bit of background with these types of toys. They're very popular in Japan, and actually a lot of times come in these little toy vending machines called gashapon. They come like this. So you'll find these little plastic containers, kind of a cute cat. You can find so many of these toys. So if you have the chance to beachcomb in Japan, keep a lookout for toys like this. I've found 4 different messages in a bottle. 2 came out of Okinawa, the other 2 from California. They're all written in English except for this smallest one here that was written in Korean. Looks to be some kind of postcard. It was pretty badly waterlogged, so I don't know what it said, but the other messages were people writing about lost family members, and even one talked about a lost family pet. And then here you have a large light bulb. These would be used on fishing vessels. The red color, I've been told, helps with octopus fishing. So somehow a lot of them stay intact on the beach. You'd think they'd be broken because it's very thin glass, but in this case this is a very nicely preserved large red light bulb. Lots of other kind of random compass, knife, even a light that you would attach to a jumper parachuter helmet. Lots of different metal items, the drain for a sink, rings, dog tags, bell, and in this case, a little toy gun. This is part of a roof or a roof tile. So the ends of some of the more ornate like shrines or traditional Japanese homes, at the kind of cap of the roof or ends, they would have these type of round pieces. Lots of sea beans I've mostly found in Okinawa. And then several different types of fishing lures and bobbers. I've got a whole bin full of those. And then on occasion, especially in the low tide, you can go to like mud flats, or sometimes on the sandy beaches, you can find whole bottles. So it's my nicest Coca-Cola bottle. It even has the Japanese katakana on one side. Found a few ink bottles such as this, as well as pretty colorful, probably perfume bottles, and even a nicely frosted fingernail polish bottle. And then finally, this little plate has a variety of different game pieces, of course, marbles. And then here in Japan, you can find these ohajiki pieces. They're like little flat marbles, chess pieces, mahjong pieces like this, and a few other games. So that's a good wrap up of my collection, and I appreciate you watching this video and following this. There'll be a little time for question and answers, so I hope you can join me for that after. Thank you.